course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
Welcome back, fans, to the 2023 Canadian Ultimate Championships in the junior phase of our tournament. We are here in the Newton neighborhood of Surrey, British Columbia, on the traditional territories of the Semiahmoo, Katzie, Kwantlen, Kwakiutl, Kaikite, and Tsawwassen First Nations. It's a beautiful day here on this land. It's not too windy right now. We've been seeing it pick up, but a nice sunny, and it's going to be a hot day for a match here in our women's division between Titane from Quebec and Toro from Ontario. My name's Clayton Howlett. I'm joined here by the one, the only Danny Froby. Danny, you had a chance yesterday to watch one of these teams play. What are you looking forward to right now?
Well, first of all, hello and hi again, Clay. I really appreciated Toro's ability to just yeet the frisbee. For those of you that don't know what yeet means, it means send it deep and trust in the receivers. I think there's a lot of trust on their team, and they were allowing their players to step up and make big plays yesterday, which made it very, very exciting. And again, I have not seen this Titane team yet, but I know that they are well coached and they have a lot of pedigree, a lot of last names that I recognize from maybe their older siblings playing either on the national teams or top club teams. So I think this is going to be an excellent match. What are you most excited for?
Well, it's a crossover match. And so what's interesting here is Toro was in a higher tier pool in the A pool, I believe. So A and B were tiered higher in this tournament than the other pools, and they didn't win a game in their pool, which meant that they had to play in this crossover, and the winner of this game will continue into the championship bracket. Titane, on the other hand, was in a lower tier, so they won their pool, so they were given the opportunity to play in this crossover game to put them in contention in the championship bracket rather than being slotted into the placement or consolation bracket. So this game, the winner will go to quarterfinals. So, you know, with that sort of thing on the line, it's a bracket game essentially. So it's going to be really exciting. Titane starting on D, their pull is going to land inbounds. and is fielded by Norris. Match defense with some poaches in the middle. Bond back to Norris. And Toro not having any trouble moving the disc back and forth right now, despite the poaches. Able to find sort of the openings right now. Willing to use a little bit of space in the back, negative space, if you will, to keep the disc moving, and then finding these slots up the middle. Hunter's able to move that around for Norris to get into a give-go. Hunter again. She'll put it up high. That throw kind of underthrown and defended by Titane. So Leone with the D, sort of pivoting here on offense for her team. Always a dump. And Titane tries to go up the line. That low to the ground and gets turfed. Or I shouldn't say low pass. Titane starting with a vertical offense. Photo still looking like, excuse me. Yeah, Photo. Is that Photo? I'm sorry, Danny. I'm just having problems with my numbers here. Who's 23 as we're seeing? Leone. Big pivot on offense right now, right?
Absolutely. We know Leone, I've been able to coach her older sister on U20 before, and it's a big pedigree family. They're all good at Frisbee. They like having the Frisbee in their hands, and they make good choices. There is a foul call on that play, as you can see by the hand signals used by the Titane player. So they're going to have a little bit of a discussion. And as per usual, we're hearing some boos. Anytime there's a call, the audience will boo. It does not mean that it's a bad call, Clay. It just means they are being silly, to be fair.
Yeah. And something we've been talking about, and I'll just put out, if you're just joining us for this stream, you saw that observer Sandra immediately moved in to hear what was going on. And people are often like, oh, the observer's inserting themselves. Well, actually, no. They're trying to hear what the players are saying so that they have context if they're asked to make a ruling. So Sandra right there to help out. And it looks like that Titane's going to keep it here. They are kind of in the red zone here, still setting up a vertical offense.
Observers making sure that everybody is set and everybody's coming in on the right stall count. So we're coming in on stall 4. It looks like it was a contested foul call.
Fauteur swings it back. Toes able to move it up. Leone playing that pivot position. Toes trying to direct traffic, looking for that backhand.
Seems to be a call on the play, whether maybe it was a contact or a disc space type thing, but now the observer is coming over to sort it out.
Often players, when they're called a fast count, like when you're defending on the mark, when a fast count or disc space is called against you, you do have to both back up and drop a count. So that was a foul, no contest, so it'll come in on 1. So Toes with some time. Still looking for that open the side, is going to send it out to space. And it's just a bit too far.
I actually really like that look. I think that throw to that side, it was open. There is a little bit of wind. Sometimes it can kind of sail the disc a little bit. But in general, I thought that was a nice throw into space.
Weatherup will pick up, brings it up to the line. No options right off the disc being called in. So losing 3 or 4 stalls, but she's got someone open in the middle with no defender.
It's just a nice little scuba over the top.
Yeah. Shimoda gets that to Hunter. And Hunter finding stretching Oaxaca with that catch. Norris will put that huck up. Leone's in the area and makes a great defensive play. That huck just not leading the receiver far enough, and Leone able to get in front of it. Looking for options. Good switches from Toro here. Titane going for a breakout. Great layout bid to keep that alive from Scopes. She'll look for the dump for Toes. That pass a little high, just goes off her fingertips. Toro elects to go deep right away. And bringing that in is Wood. And
did you get eyes on who threw that? That was a perfect throw. I was looking at the receiver the whole time.
I unfortunately did not.
Well,
I believe it was a number 2. I might be wrong with my credit here, but I believe that was Dominic Weatherup.
It wouldn't surprise me if that were true, but we will find out. That was an excellent throw. You got to reward the person who's getting that block there. So we see that nice defensive pressure by that Toro player, Wood, and then she's able to convert that energy into a deep strike and goes up strong with 2 hands, which, Clay, I must say is something that we were missing a little bit from this Toro team yesterday, was using 2 hands and going strong to the disc. A lot of the times they could have either opted to pancake catch it or to try to go with 2 hands up in the air, but they were often going kind of with 1 hand, and we were seeing a lot of uncharacteristic drops, I think. But there you see it. It's done right. We love it. Love to see it. I also want to acknowledge number 22 on Titane. That bid, let's say it's Schuss, that bid was incredible to save that possession. And oftentimes you'll see juniors making a play like that and then maybe making a risky choice after. The adrenaline is a lot to kind of manage, but they got up, they made a dump, they made another pass right away. And I really want to acknowledge that maturity on the field.
So Titane's O-line, haven't seen that yet. We've been remarking some of the Quebec teams have a run and gun offense here, really fast. And quick. So this split stack play gets it up immediately past half, elevating to bring that down. And that pass, unfortunately, just pops up in the wind off of the hands of LeBlanc. Bala puts up a big huck, fielded by Ong. Or Hall Smith, that is, excuse me. Bala looking for the backhand open side, but Titane getting a read on that. So a chance for a hold again. LeBlanc. Give go offense by Titane. Kind of a jump on that throw. No call. Off of the fingers of Guillaume Gravel. So Bala will pick up. We've got a side vertical stack here from Toro. A few cutters at the same time. Both break side and open side opportunities. Morel reined that in. Finds Forbes. And that inside flick shot to Bala is just too low, too spicy. Titane, vertical offense. Looking for options, finds the under. Lafosse. Quick swing. And a foul called on that catch. So Bougie called it pretty quick. I imagine, Danny, that was probably just a hit from behind when she thought she had the catch, maybe?
Yeah, these ones are tough, and these get called a lot more often in juniors ultimate than you see in seniors, because sometimes you just don't make the catch, or you could make the catch and there might have been a bit of contact, but I don't think an adult or senior player would make that call from what I'm experiencing. The contact has to be pretty major or at least non-minor in order for that to be a foul call. A lot of times the defender in this situation is probably just saying you just didn't catch it kind of thing. What did you see from here? I know we're not necessarily with the best perspective. Did you think that there was an opportunity for non-minor contact there?
It's tough. That was right on the sideline.
I know.
Right. The throw was kind of behind. Bougie had to reach out and grab it. And the number 6 there, Morel, was right on her hip the whole time. So when Bougie had to slow down, I don't know if there was a way to avoid contact, but the players elect to go foul contest. So there's no observer ruling on that.
Again, if I were the defender, I would probably have gone to the observer in that circumstance. I think if you're on defense and you truly believe you didn't foul, going to the observer is a great move from my perspective.
So the disco will go back to Guillaume Gravel. Hearing an end zone call from Titane sideline. She finds LeBlanc. LeBlanc will pitch that up to Hebert. Hebert being patient, and then finds a big flick over the top, the other side of the field, and that is brought in.
I'm loving these throws to space. I think that they are showing a lot of maturity with the disc. I believe
That was
Audrey Coulard.
Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing her number. Her hair is very long.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure I saw 5 back there.
Oh, yeah,
if we
you
gave
did.
credit
Yeah.
to the wrong person, our bad. Regardless, Titane is on the board with a really beautiful score. I really loved how number 6, Tremblay, is just kind of quarterbacking the whole offense. There's a level of calm when they have the disc that really allows the cutters to know, okay, if I cut into space and I make a long cut, I will get the disc from this person. Sometimes you'll see a lot of newer players look really frantic when they have the disc. Maybe they're faking back and forth, and it can make the cutters be a little bit unsure. And so I really appreciate that about Tremblay's game.
So that indeed was Audrey Couillard with the goal. Really good read on that catch. So now both teams with a hold. Our score is 1-1. So Titane's pull will land in bounds, once again fielded by Norris. So this poachy defense by Titane so far hasn't generated a D themselves. The handlers are just working it back and forth. It seemed last time they were relying on Toro making a mistake, which they did. But Toro showing some patience here. Shimoda, pivot point in the middle, looking for the options she wants. Not seeing anyone coming down from the middle well, I say that, and then Oaka comes down and gets it back to Shmita. So now Toro's starting to get some yards.
Now, I really like that Titane is coming down with his defense. I just wish that mid person would actually take a person a little bit more. I think that would be a lot more effective.
Norris finds Hunter. And just off the hands of Chichi Oaxaca. So an opportunity for another hold there for Toro, and just an unfortunate drop in the end zone. Now Toro setting up in a zone defense here. I'm liking Danny. I'm seeing a lot of heads on swivels here in this zone, really trying to take threats as they come in. But Leone just gets it moving, and now Titane finding the holes in the zone. Toes right back to Leone. I love that use of big negative space back with a big gain right after it. Unexpected when you're in a cup sometimes. But Leone looking for options. Toro starting to clamp down. And an up the line throw bounces out of the hands of Gagliardi. Vaughn is blocked by Leone, that big hand block. Titane players take off deep. Leone puts it right away. Norris in the area uses that height to swat it out of the hands of LeBlanc.
I think both of these teams know that I really like it when teams huck. I think it's very exciting, especially after a block like that.
Bond looking for options. And a turn. So Titane's offense trying to find holes in a rather disorganized defense right now for Toro. Toes will put it up over top of the defender, and a great read by Fauteuil brings that in. That is the first break of the game. Titane going up 2-1.
Now, I know we were talking a little bit about the defensive set of Titane, and it looks like both teams are kind of employing, regardless of whether they start on offense or defense, it looks as though both teams are opting to do either a sluffy or poachy or zony type look on a turn. So oftentimes you'll see a team that starts on defense come out in a zone look, but even that offensive line, when they missed on their scoring opportunity, they set up in sort of a zony look. And this is really good against teams that have maybe one or two dominant cutters. It kind of neutralizes them because you put all your strongest defender at deep, which kind of protects that space, and you're putting a lot more pressure on the handlers to generate all of the movement. And I thought in general, both teams were doing a really great job of being patient and finding those holes through the cup and using their fakes. I would like to see a little bit faster side to side movement in order to really expose the holes in the zone. So we're taking a little bit of a timeout here. Clay, did you happen to see which team called the timeout? I would assume it's the team that got scored on.
I would assume it's Toro as well. We haven't heard today if we're having any mandated water breaks, and usually they come after a team has reached 4 points. So definitely wasn't a water break, was a timeout. Toro seems to be psyching themselves up there. So I am going to go with you on this one and believe that that was a Toro timeout.
Just a bit of a regrouping moment. All right, seeing teams setting out their lines. So we are still without a break. Or was the first point a break?
I believe that was a break. I think we had two holds
Origin
and that
went
was
2 in a row.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a break. It's hard because a lot of these teams, like usually in seniors, again, you would see a clear offensive line and a clear defensive line, but at the junior level, a lot of times players cross over. So we saw players that maybe would traditionally be on their O-line were on their D-line.
So it's going to be Titane with the pull. Couillard is going to pass that off.
Psych.
This looks like Amelia Ray with the disc. And her pull will stay in bounds.
Right on the sideline. I absolutely love that as a defender if my puller can do that.
Yeah. Bala picks up. Finds Corbetti. And will get it up the gut to Bond. And I hear Bala as a Toro player streaks deep. And that throw, just a little underthrown, bounces off her hands. So Ong, unable to bring that in. Or excuse me, Hall Smith. Couillard showing some patience in the middle. High stall count, looks for a dump. Bougie is there. And she finds Ray. Chambon Lefrancois comes out of the back of the vertical stack. Will reset. That pass a little bit errant and just out of the reach of the false. Kenjindran elects to pick it up and huck right away, and that huck doesn't seem to ever stay in bounds. It does not, as we see the observer drop the pylon right in front of us.
Now, a reason I think that this disc did not go where they wanted it to go is they never really got their feet set. And I know when you're excited, you tend to kind of forget the fundamentals, like stepping out, getting balanced. It's super important to engage your core. So just make sure that actually step out and feel settled before you make a shot like that.
Sabna finds Bougie. Bougie will go up to Couillard. We're seeing teams really want to look upfield for a long time here. Couillard looking for options. High stall count. She'll put that up, I think, just to get rid of it. And kind of a blady flick.
That is true. They are looking up. I mean, that felt like it was set like 12 stalls.
Yeah, that was a long time.
Again, would love to see a little bit more side-to-side movement. I think they have really nice throws. So if they are able to actually reverse the field all the way, I think they'll have more success.
Corbetti runs out of time. And
Not
just
Callahan?
not in. No, Couillard was just had 1 foot outside of the end zone on the ground when she got that run through D, but she will flip that into the end zone.
Incredible defensive effort. I really, you know what I mean? I love Callahan's. I want to see it as a fan of the game.
I'll just stop you, Danny, just for a second, because it looks like we have a call going on. That was Amelia Ray with the goal, but Toro player that looks like Hall Smith has an argument on something that went down. She wasn't on the thrower, so I'm imagining it's a pick or a push-off, but the call's retracted, and it's a goal.
Now, for those of you that don't understand why we were so excited about the potential first goal, is that when you get an unassisted goal, it's kind of like a badge of honor. Like, you know, like in scouts, you try to earn badges for doing certain things, whether it's starting a fire or swimming or whatever it is. In ultimate, you want to catch a Callahan. So when the other team throws it and you're able to defend it and just catch it into the end zone, it's a pretty rare thing. Clay, have you ever caught a Callahan?
I've caught Callahans. Do you know what I've also done? I've got, I think, 3 Callahans under my belt. And I also have 4 Callahans under my belt.
The other way.
The other way, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely thrown more than I've caught. Wasn't my fault, though.
Sometimes you'll throw it and the receiver doesn't go to it.
Yeah, that's what happens every single time. It's never my fault.
Yeah,
so they don't really count.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think I might have thrown one in league, but I don't know if I've ever thrown one in a game that matters. Not that league doesn't matter, but
you know what? It stings the same.
Does it? It is like a dejected, you put your head down. All right, well, that's the second break in a row. So Toro needing to work on kind of stopping the momentum of this Titane team. I know that they're used to kind of connecting on some of those deep shots, and I know they had one in that last point, and I like the look. The receiver is clearly calling for it, so let's see what they can do with this point.
Norris once again picking up, seeming to be the fielder for Toro as she'll flip that to Shimoda. Norris will get it back. Wood tries to flip it back to Norris, but Norris had too much forward momentum and that pass was thrown behind. Titane picks up right away. Leonard was able to find Guibault, but Norris with the big hand block. Norris, a tall player with a big reach, just puts those mitts out and gets a great block to save another break.
This Toro team is looking quite deep at the moment. I know they're maybe trying to run potentially a bit of a dominator, running everything through their handlers, or they're just too deep.
And Toro seeming stuck, stall 7, seeming stuck in their end zone. The huck goes up, so it's not a stall down. Hunter will have to elevate over Toes, and she does. Toes makes a call. There was a little bump on that. Danny, I saw that. I get why Toes is making a call. In my view, Toes. She didn't know where Hunter was, but Toes was still in motion backing up. Hunter had set her feet and was looking up already. I think that's just neither player knew where each other was. I don't really think that's a foul. That's
I don't
my
think it's
view.
a foul either because I think All right, so as we were saying, usually if you have set your position, you have the right to that space. And as a defender, sometimes you're not seeing what's happening and maybe you're tracking the disc and moving backwards. But luckily, we have these lovely humans in orange. And so they had a front row view. They're going to be able to help these players navigate through it. If I were both of them and I wasn't sure, why not go to the observer?
Right. And the observer ruling here.
We're about to see them touch their shoulders, which means they're about to make their ruling. And it's going to be no foul. Hey, we should be observers.
We should be observers. Yeah, I got this. So it's Taze. Thank you to Big Daddy Taze coming over here and correcting our phonetics on this one. But Taze calling that foul. It is ruled no foul, so Hunter will get to keep the disc.
That was a really nice grab to elevate there.
So Hunter goes to Shimoda. She'll go right back to Hunter, who flips it to Norris. Wood. Looking for options, but I believe there was a pick call, and Titane is able to catch up. That Titane player, I think it was Leonard, was able to catch up right away, but it is a stoppage, so everybody has to stop and get ready. So Wood in on 5. And she finds a reset. And that will go back over around to Wood. So a hold for Toro puts this game at 3-2 for Titane.
So we say that's stopping the bleeding just a little bit. So I love these throws around. So I'm finding that these teams are opting to play a little bit kind of in 1/3. And so the other 2/3 are quite open. So if you have a thrower like that, like 38, who's able to put that disc around into space, that's Weather Up, who we'll see making these nice shots throughout the game and made these nice shots all day yesterday as well. And Wood, just a really competent receiver, able to go get it.
So I'll just mention real quick while we have a moment. We are on the BE Ultimate Showcase field, the official apparel for this tournament, where you can go buy some swag. I think you can order online from them as well. And the other partner we have on the showcase field is Discraft, supplying us with one of the most important parts of Ultimate, and that is our game discs, which have been sort of popular. I think we're starting with less game discs than original, as they're just so high quality. People are like, man, I gotta put this in my my trophy case. But
yeah, shame.
So Titane on O. Leonet seeing a poachy look here. Kind of I think it's a straight up mark with 2 poaches in the lane. So forcing Titane to just work the disc laterally. Hard to find holds in this as all the unders are taken away. But Titane seeming unfazed until they get a fortunate drop comes along in that handler movement, perhaps what Toro was looking for. Ball up finds Hall Smith, but that bounces out of her hands. Leonet picks up immediately. Looking upfield a long time, but has some open resets. Hearing a milk call from the Toro sideline to go into match defense here, but the message doesn't seem to be getting through as those poaches. And now Toro sets up person D, that huck right up to that false. Doorstep options, but patience. And a cut made by Scopes.
Again, it's that same cut. I'm absolutely loving it. Toro did the exact same thing on the last point where you see that a lot of the defense is all in one place. And so you just put the disc out of space into the other side. So we have another hold. One thing that I know you're talking about the defense, about how they kind of had a straight up force with two kind of defenders in the lane. And this is a type of zone you're starting to see a lot more in general. And it's now infiltrating the juniors. I saw it quite a bit yesterday, and I don't even think I saw it much at all last year. So it really forces the throwers. It really wants the throwers to throw to the sideline. And then typically the mark would be shifting towards the sideline as it gets closer and end up putting up on a trap. It can be quite challenging for teams to get through if they have a very traditional handler and cutter core. If you have players like us, Clay,
Yeah.
who like to cut and handle, then that helps. You need a lot of movement kind of going north and south through that zone to really make those people choose somebody to go on, because it is quite vulnerable in the mids. If you can make that throw to the sideline ish and then bounce it right back, you're going to be in good shape. But a lot of times, as we're seeing, the players are throwing the disc to the sideline and they look up field for 7 stalls.
Yeah.
And that's playing right into the zone's trap.
Now, wait a minute. Did you say you like to cut and handle?
Okay. Well, yes, I do like to cut as long as I'm initiating.
I'm actually curious, Danny, though, where have you seen this defense before? Because I've played around with it in my community, but I actually haven't seen it employed at a tournament before. Have you seen it in other places? Or
yeah, I mean, in college it happens a lot. You'll see straight up marks that if you're playing against a team that likes to huck, for example, because it does take away the huck. For UBC, for example, which is one of the teams that I coach, we'll do that sort of, it's kind of like an arrowhead or a triangle zone, but we'll also do a diamond. So you have one more person sitting in that mid spot, and it can be quite effective. It's just forces a different style of offense.
Right. Chase Pole landing in the middle, picked up by Shimoda, flips to Norris. Wing. She'll find Hunter. Flips it back to Shimoda. Not finding any options and still looking upfield for quite a while until she finds Ohaka. Ohaka looking for a reset. She'll find Nguyen. Shimoda. And Shimoda will put it up for the tall Norris, who is not quite in, just on the other side of that white line. And she goes to a bidding weather up.
Just a bit out of reach. I know we're talking about these throws into space, but you still got to throw them a little bit closer to the receiver. But that was a nice thought.
Quia. I like that choice, Danny.
Yes, we're all about choices over execution here, especially the juniors. We love seeing people being courageous with their choices. It actually makes the game open up a lot.
So Norris will go right back into the end zone, and that just sails over everybody's head. And that time it is within the reach of Weather Up. So another hold for Toro.
Maybe not the intended receiver, but we like the focus. We call this wide focus. So being aware of everything that's happening on the field, even if the disc isn't to you, even if the Frisbee isn't for your check, if you can have a wide focus and be able to kind of see everything that's happening on the field at the same time, if you can, then you're able to kind of get some poach blocks. You're able to get some, we call it garbage collection. I know there's probably a nicer term for it, Clay. Do you know a nicer term than garbage collection? Because that's my favorite thing to do. When somebody hucks one of my teammates and I'm like, that might be a little bit off, and I wait for it to bounce off a bunch of hands, and then you get the glory.
Oh, yeah, spatial awareness.
Oh, so not garbage collection.
No, spatial awareness.
Okay.
Yeah. When someone tells me I have good spatial awareness, they just mean way to stand somewhere and get lucky, dude.
Yeah. I kind of like garbage collection because you do feel like a feral little raccoon, like standing behind everybody, like waiting for them to mistake, and then you get all their scraps.
Now,
There's glory in it, though.
There is glory in it. There's a term that I've heard kicked around a little bit from people in my community, and Troy was using it on the last stream, though. That choice, though, from Norris to put that out, not for the intended receiver, and is kind of in coverage. Would you call that a false positive? You got the goal. You want to celebrate it. Is it something you want to do again?
Yeah, on Traffic, which is a team I play for, we call that, we have a cheer. It's called a positive's a positive. So 2 negatives make a positive. So same. And sometimes you just need a little bit of luck on your side.
Leone getting some give-go action with Tremblay. Tremblay will get it back. Same zone from Toro, poaching in the middle. This time, Leone sees the hole, puts herself right in line for an easy through pass. Looking upfield for a long time, has Tremblay for a reset. Right back to Leone. Now Titane going over the top. A lot of traffic, but brought down by Hebert. Leone, big backhand around, saw that throw lined up as soon as she got the disc. So a quick hold as Bird brings that in.
Now, I was talking earlier about getting properly set before you're throwing and how we've seen a couple errors from people who are maybe getting a little excited. When we saw Leone there get the disc, see the target, it was full step out, very balanced, strong backhand, strong fundamentals, just lasered that right into the hands of the receiver. That was just an excellent elite throw.
Yeah, it was at she got the disc and twisted her body, right? She used her whole body to make the throw. We've seen a lot of throws this weekend where people want to make that throw, but instead of twisting their body, kind of just push with their throwing arm and not getting the distance. And a lot of underthrows that we've seen this weekend have been due to that. So, as you say, Danny, that looked professional.
And I actually remember Leone back in tryouts for the U20 team in 2020. The one that got canceled because of COVID. I remember her there as like basically a literal baby kind of at the tryout, trying to get experience. But this is my PSA for all of you that are unsure about U20 tryouts or unsure about going to prospect camps and stuff like that because you're too young or not that experienced. Those coaches remember you. Like, I think she might have been in grade 8 at the time. And look at her now.
Look at her now.
Beautiful, beautiful throws.
Norris will pick up once again. She's able to find Bond. Back to Norris. Shah. We'll flip it back to Norris. Pretty poachy defense. A lot of space in the middle of the field. Norris will put that up into traffic. Hunter showing that she's been dominant in the air, but that one bounces off her hand even though she had position. And Taze will pick up. And Taze's throw high, just where Norris likes to snack on him. She'll flip to Shimoda. Over to Shah. Shimoda patient now. Has a wide open around break to Norris. Norris has no mark. Finds Oaxaca. Norris taking her time and did set her feet, Danny, but that angle pretty tough. And one thing I'll remark, Ja was trying to keep her feet inside the end zone rather than coming to that disc on a bit of an angle. We do also, you might not be able to see this on the camera, but we do have a wind coming this exact way. So we'll be pushing the discs a little bit more out of bounds towards where the camera is, which we saw. That's a nice grab there. Cuilla's throw kicked up, and yeah, Bougie, great grab to prevent any type of Callahan from happening. But the ensuing pass bouncing off Vincett's hands. Looks like there is a call, a stall down to kind of work through over here before we were able to resume play. Oh, so that was a few throws ago. So that throw that went up to Bougie that she boxed out to get that grab, Cuillal threw that, and it seems Weather Up on Toro is arguing that she got the stall down. I think there's no harm if you're Weather Up and going to the observer on this one, right? You know what? If you believe in your call, go for it. That's what I think. If you really believe in it, as soon as you, if your defense especially. Now, just for those, if you're not familiar with what happened, so the observer has ruled that it was not a stall down. However, when a call is made, the ensuing throw is the only throw that really counts after that. The cascading throws that did happen that we did see just now, they don't count. So the disc has to go back to Bougie because there was a stoppage. And players are just getting back into position. Our observers making sure that everybody is ready before Bougie taps it in. That throw too high for Scopes. Shimoda picks up and it goes for a quick IO, but Quial read that and gets it right back. Scopes now sees Taze up the line. Taze keeps her feet in. Lines up for a big flick huck. Good to a moving target out in front. Vincent with a good bring down over Oaxaca. Dumps to Quial. She'll try and air that out. It's high, but after a block, Kayleen sticks with it and finds Scopes in the end zone.
You don't see that too often, like the layout going towards the disc like that. And maybe the player could have reached down and caught it, but I am such a fan of doing whatever it takes to keep the disc in your hands. And we've seen a lot of like pancake layouts where maybe the person could have stayed on their feet, but they're doing this to ensure that the disc stays alive. And I absolutely love it. Plus it looks cool.
It does look cool. So that is a break. I believe that brings our score to 6-3.
6-3, you are correct. Don't you love it when you're right?
It happens sometimes.
Well, I absolutely love that shot. I love that offense, that up the line by Taves here to a completely open receiver. It was really clear. We had a one-on-one situation with space and put out a really nice touch forehand huck that kind of allowed the whole offense to cascade. Now, this Titane team, I know that they play a lot of fours in Quebec, and you can see it because they like moving the disc quickly. They almost play most of the time, most of their players play like it's a stall 5 type offense. And I know that sometimes we've been talking about how some of them hold on to it a little bit longer. But in general, I think once the cutters get it, it moves quite quickly. And it's really hard to defend.
Okay, Danny, would you say there's kind of a trend also in the junior division that, you know, on your main handlers tend to hold on to it a little bit long because usually they're the players with big disc skills and kind of quarterbacking things. Do you think they might feel some pressure to hold on to it longer in direct traffic?
They might feel some pressure to try to make things happen. Absolutely.
Right. Ball is throw, speaking of making things happen.
We're not speaking from experience here.
No. So ball is throw a little too far for Weather Up. And so Titane with the opportunity for another break. Her throw is underthrown and defended by Bon. Or no, excuse me, that's Filippetti. And her throw just a little too soft for Bala to get it. So Titane picks up close to the end zone. Tremblay gets that all the way out around to Fauteuil. And her throw goes over the top of everybody. Another break for Titane.
Now, you can see these players waiting a little bit after they score. They look at the observers to make sure that they were in and that there wasn't a call. So you'll see the observers look at each other. They'll signal towards the ground if the disc was caught inbounds. They wait to see if there's any calls or anything that happens. And once they see that there's no calls, they put their hands up in the air to signify a goal. Now, it's good on the players to not just catch and spike, because I've seen far too many turnovers from people who thought they were in, didn't wait for the observer signal that it was a goal, spiked the disc, and now it's a turnover. And you look really silly.
Now, we're not sure who got that goal. Or party on the
I think it was 12.
12? Yeah, party on the Titane sideline, so it was hard to see. So we think it's Guibault, but we'll double check and make sure credit is given where credit is due. It looks like we have a timeout that has been taken, unless we've been halftime capped here.
Halftime.
So it is halftime. So we're right at the 46-minute mark. So that's kind of perfect. So Danny, I think you and I will take a little break, and we will be back with the second half shortly. And we're back because it's not halftime. Psych. It was actually a timeout taken by Toro. We were just given an incorrect signal. No big deal because we're ready for it. We're close by to our mics and we're ready to go. It seems that Toro is got their line set up. Titane is coming out of their shade cave.
Well, we do take our half after 45 minutes. After the end of that point, we add one. So we're in that zone anyway. So we would likely, if Titane is able to score here, we would be likely taking half at this point. But the halftime will be at 8 regardless. So we have Titane with the disc.
All right. Titane's pull is going to sail out of bounds just. Our observers at this tournament are doing active in and out calls. So they're always there to tell us what the deal is. So this will be a brick mark. Norris once again picking up. Oh, we're seeing kind of a wedge double team. Okay, now the zone falling in. So it's like a 2-3-2, an interesting defense by Titane. Titane gets lucky off of a drop by Toro there. So Saab now picks up. She finds Bird under. But now Bird's trapped on the sideline looking upfield. Finds a reset, and it's punched in to LeBlanc. And Titane takes half. The assist from number 4, who we actually don't have a number 4. So after the second half, I'm going to tell you who made that great reset cut and assist.
We've wanted to talk about 4 before, but we can't.
Yeah, 4 has been doing
doing
great.
great.
So we're going to get the name so we can let you know.
Mystery person.
Yeah. So now the score being 8-3, it is half. So
For sure.
We are going to take a break for real this time. Go get your coffee. Go let your dog out. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back, fans, to our second half of our second match of the day. Junior Women's Division here at the Canadian Ultimate Championships 2023 edition. We've got Titane in white from Quebec facing off against Toro from Ontario in red. The score is 8-3 for Titane. This is a crossover game. Titane was seated in a lower tier pool in this tournament, while Toro was seated higher. Toro no wins yesterday. Titane easily winning their pool yesterday. So Titane got bumped up. Toro got bumped down, and the winner of this game will continue into the tournament's championship bracket into quarterfinals. I'm Clayton Hallett, joined here with Danny. Danny, what do you want to give us a recap so far of what you've seen strategically? Something you like seeing? What's going on?
I am obsessed with the combination of quick small ball movement with longer throws. I think the style and the pace of play has been great for both teams. We saw Toro connect a bit more on their deep looks yesterday in the game that we were commentating. And so right now that's not quite working for them, but that doesn't mean they should stop using that strategy, because I do think it is a really important part of their game. This Titane team is just quite fast, and I think that they're putting a lot more pressure than Toro was used to yesterday.
So Toro pulls, giving Titane kind of a nice O-line start in this half as they started the game on D. And when you have the lead, that's kind of a good opportunity to extend it. Quial's pass, though, out of the reach of Bougie. Oaxaca picks up, but her throw, not enough mustard on it, and that drops to the ground. And Quial picks up. Seeing this Poachy lane zone, I don't know what the name of it is, but straight up mark with players on either side of the throwing lanes, try and disrupt upfield movement. Titane, though, not having too much of a problem being chilly and decision-making with the disc to hold on to it. Ray flips that back to the handler core. So Leonard moves that back to Quial. Leonard looking for options. Doesn't like the dump. Has a free dump to Bougie, but now Bougie's kind of left alone, so she'll flip it back to Leonard. Leonard goes over top, finds Scopes. Scopes is saying, come under. I want to play the small ball, so she flips it up to Leonard, gets it right back. Again, big pump fake huck, but she'll put up a backhand around. Wide open Titane players. Patience shown by Ray. Vincent looking for a reset, sticking with Bougie. Doesn't like what she sees. Instead finds Leonard. Bougie goes up the line, wide open. And that natural organic break starting the half on. Oh, that's a goal for Titane. They extend their lead 9-3.
Now, I want to highlight a specific player on that point. We had Leonard kind of going every other and moving the disc quite quickly, a very reliable reset for anyone who had the disc in their hands. But then she also elects to make this kind of nice high release flick into space over the entire zone that broke it free. And not only that, she was the first one there to do the give and go. So that player that she was able to hit, they did a nice give and go and then was able to punch it in for the score. And one other thing about this player, I've known her for a while, but I only know her because I've coached kind of alongside her one older brother's team, and I was able to coach her oldest brother's team this summer on the U24 team. So Felix Leonard was on my mixed team. And at first I was like, oh, are they going to play very similarly? But I think the Leonard we're seeing today might be the superior Leonard.
The superior Leonard.
No shade towards Felix or Adam.
SL.
You're both great. Love you both. But your sister is making a name for herself out here.
One other player we need to talk about would be Eloise Brousseau, wearing number 4 today, hybrid 55, who got that goal to take half. Or was the goal or the assist, but has scored some points and done some heavy work for Titane today. Just wanted to highlight her contribution to the team as we were missing giving her that credit earlier. Shimona finds a reset to the middle. Hunter leaning over to make that catch. She'll find Nguyen, who elects to go back to Hunter. That throw inside of the direction that Hunter was moving in. Hard catch to make, results in a turnover. Cagliardi's spicy pass just beyond the reach of Ebel. Shimona picks up. Finds Weatherup. Weatherup, only reset option is wing, so she'll pitch it deep. That's underthrown. So Fatou with that D. Titane gets it moving. Tremblay. Bird. Her pass. It was kind of out of the reach, but Danny, we have a foul call here, and it does look like Fatou might have been tripped up a little bit.
Yeah, it is possible. I think that they could have caught the disc. I think that's a reasonable thing to say, that could have been received if there hadn't been a trip up. Those ones are hard. Oftentimes you'll see a trip play happen, but there was no outcome that could have meant that the person was going to get the disc regardless of the trip. And you see those foul calls happen as well. Those ones are usually overturned by an observer, but I'm pretty sure that this one could have been caught. But again, hard to see from where we are. What do you think?
I did see a little bit of a catch in Fatou's run. I do believe she probably could have got there, so I would probably err on that was a foul.
Yeah, a foul contest makes sense to me. Or if you go to the observers, they probably would have upheld the foul call because we're observers now.
We are observers now, yeah. We're gonna go get some orange shirts in the observatory.
I did dress up as an observer for Halloween, and I called fouls on people at the party.
You must have been so fun. Bird. Her pass a little high and dropped by the false. Weatherup picks up, swings around to Shimona, fielding that high pass. Weatherup has Shimona up the line. A little bit of a catch and a run, but she's able to stick that read. And her pass for Hunter. Blady, quick, a little off target, close to the sideline. Tremblay showing us some speed, and Shimona in turn herself showing some speed, gets that run through D from behind her check.
What a turn of events. I love the athleticism that it takes to actually just catch like a block like that. That's incredible.
Patel with the disc. There seems to be a discussion between her and Bird. Which 16 will be victorious? But observer Sandra signaling a foul contest. We were talking to the observers during halftime.
We were
saying that, in the junior division, they're always there to get the context, and if asked their help, they're there to kind of help facilitate the discussion, help the players focus on the important points of whatever they're arguing to kind of nail down the facts and make a call.
Also, I just feel like the observers that we have at this event are also just so sweet and nice. Like, I think that the juniors feel really comfortable when they're kind of engaging with them and working through calls. It's a really nice educational moment.
So that disc goes back to Shimoda. Looking for a reset, has Weatherup. She'll go back to Shimoda. Foul called on that throw. It seemed that she kind of threw across Tremblay's body with her arm. Might have had some contact.
As a mark, when it started to get up into stall 8, stall 9 territory, I like to back up a little bit just because I don't want that stall to be reset. You're so close to either them putting up like a 50-50 ball or you're close to getting a stall down. Try to avoid getting a foul called on you. Looks like there's still kind of maybe a violation on the field. So if people moved before they were supposed to, you're supposed to signal with your arms up into a V shape. to signify that there was been a violation and everybody has to go back to where they were. And
we have
another call.
Yeah, collision there. So Patel getting tripped up by her check. We might have an injury call as Coach Emma runs out to take a look at her.
Again, once people start getting a little bit hot, a little bit tired, we're now into the full day 2 of this tournament. Sometimes your muscles don't support you in the way that they normally support you. I don't know if everyone who's watching this has played Ultimate before, but being able to play this many games in these kinds of conditions, it's a lot of volume on these young athletes. And so a lot of times you'll see them kind of go down with like little ankle rolls or cramps or something like that. And a big part of being able to be successful at these tournaments is just attrition. Just making it through the tournament is such a big success.
So Chen will come out to replace Patel. Weatherup still has the disc. I'm not too sure of the stall count. Usually we'll get a signal, so should see that in a minute. Observer ruling that there was a foul. Fouls can be accidental. Foul can just be tripping somebody up. And since it was a defensive foul on an offensive cutter, the stall has to come back to 1. So Weatherup has some time. She'll go over the top to Hunter, who has been dominant in the air this game. She has an over-the-top pass to Shimoda. It is called in. Observers doing active in and out calls. She'll reset to Weatherup, who will boost it.
Nice follow-up bid there. That was almost like the raccoon garbage collection thing we're talking about. That's exactly what I'd be doing.
Yeah, Nguyen with that effort there, or Nguyen, excuse me, but Gagliardi was there to get the D. But ensuing passes bounce off the hands of LeBlanc. It was kind of a low throw, a difficult one to get. Shimoda will pick up. Finds Chen. Chen looking for options. Finds Wood. Wood has Hunter. And that one just goes through her hands as the wind pops it up at the worst possible moment. Fauteuil's throw. Chen with good pressure D. You don't have to touch it to make a defensive play. Vertical set from Toro.
Timeout
Weatherup
being called.
Yeah, Weatherup picks up and calls a timeout. This has been a long point.
Absolutely. And like we are winding down in this game, and we only have, we have less than 20 minutes until the cap goes off. And so if I'm Toro, I'm looking at the score at 9-3. It's maybe looking like it's not as possible. I wouldn't say impossible, but it would be very highly unlikely to have a comeback. But you never know with juniors. Things can be volatile. The momentum shifts are incredible, as we've already seen over the past day and a half. So anything can happen, but they're kind of running out of time. And if they are wanting to make a comeback in this game, they need to be converting at a bit faster of a rate. One thing I also want to kind of talk about while we have time is kind of a question for you, Clay, actually, because I've coached teams that have been in both scenarios where you're in the top bracket and you play a bunch of top games. Now you're crossing over, and you're in the bottom bracket and you play a bunch of, in theory, easier games, and now you're crossing over. Which path do you think is more advantageous? Ignoring the score right now, if you can.
100% coming from below.
Yeah.
Because you got that hunger. You won your pool. You got something to prove. You're Toro. You lost all your games. You're hanging on, right? Trying not to sink deeper. So I think in this case, I mean, like, this is Titane's game to win, if you can put it that way. And Toro, yeah, just on the ropes. Hunter bidding for that throw that had the edge moving away from her. Still putting up that athleticism she has all game. Bird looking for a reset. LeBlanc's pass caught by a speedy Tremblay. And her pass, we're seeing that pass a lot, Danny, that outside in flick to the inside of a receiver.
It was the opposite yesterday. We were like launching them too far in front yesterday, and now we're just hitting that inside shoulder. So there's a happy medium. We've seen a lot of those shots go up perfectly into their hands, but right now we're just a little bit behind on these throws. Massive run through D by 9. That was incredible. Full display of their speed and athleticism and desire at this moment.
LeBlanc with the run through D now in the hands of Sabnia. But that's knocked out of Tremblay's hands by Weatherup. Shimoda picks up. Finds swing. And I think that bounces off the hands of Weatherup. Tremblay will pick up. Tremblay needing a reset. We'll find Bird. Low throw kind of bounces off the ankles of Bird. Weatherup picks up. Maybe looking for Chen to come under. Instead, we'll reset. Shimoda looking upfield. Finds Bond. Shimoda saying she wants someone going deep. Wood is down there, and Wood runs that down, turning on the Jets for the long hold
That
for Toro.
was visionary. If you were watching the throw, Shimoda had the disc, saw the space, pointed to where she wanted the receiver to go, and executed a 10 out of 10 throw. That was an incredible hold by Toro, showing some resilience, showing some fight out here. And I do kind of want to go back to the other conversation about kind of your placement, because I think there's two schools of thought there. There's one where you're coming up from behind, you got a chip on your shoulder, you're like, hey, we deserve to be in the top 8 from the beginning. You also get to rest players a little bit more if you're cruising through your games. And so there's a big advantage there. The disadvantage, I'd say, in that scenario is that you haven't necessarily been tested. And sometimes being in a tournament, kind of being down by a couple points and learning that you can bounce back from that is kind of a necessary thing that you need in order to make a big, deep run into a tournament. So there are pros and cons to both. But I think in an event like this, where it's hot and long and there's like jet lag and everything like that, I'd almost prefer to be the team coming from the bottom.
Yeah, and I would
as
too.
You said.
If there are some specifics, as in the format for this tournament, for example, to have this opportunity, Titane had to win their pool yesterday. They, even dropping one game and they would not be in contention for this. So it does mean that if you are going to come from behind like that you have to win all your games the first day. But if we're talking about just this game, I mean, I think Titanes are the ones that have the hunger.
And it's showing on the field. They look just a clip faster than Toro at this moment.
Bougie is able to flip that up to Leonard. Chase looks to break the mark right away. I like that look against this zone. She'll put that all the way around to Leonard. Taze finds Brousseau. Hearing a melt call from the Toro sideline, looking to pop in to match defense. Brousseau is able to find Vincent up the line, and her pass just a little too far for Ray. Shahana Bala picks up. Bala yelling, start cutting, wants some options. Has to look reset. Has an open Morel, but that disc jostled a bit by the wind. She doesn't come down with it. Leonard will pick up. Vertical. Oh, and guess who? It's Brousseau with the goal.
This Titane team's just looking a little bit unstoppable right now. I do also want to mention like a big reason why this team has come together the way that they have is they have a lot of support back home. They bring players from all over Montreal. They do weight training together. They do rules clinics together. There's a lot of volunteers and parents always volunteering and supporting this group. And you can see it. They look strong. They look solid. They look fast. When they're setting up their cuts, they're doing like jab steps. They're just looking like an elite level program. And I don't want to like count Toro out at this moment, but I'm excited to see them move on.
But in general, I mean, are you saying that a comprehensive practicing program leads to good play?
Amazing.
Amazing.
It's probably the most outlandish thing I've ever said. But I do like the trend and ultimate now where we're getting our athletes to do a little bit more weight training or even like movement training on the field. I think that was kind of something you didn't see very often. And now there's just such a high prevalence of very serious lower body injuries happening when athletes don't learn how to move properly, don't learn how to cut properly. So again, if you're listening to this and you are a young person, or maybe you know and love a young person that plays ultimate, get them into some weight training or some movements because it is extremely important for them to be able to play this sport long term.
So Lyonnais' pole comes down about the brick mark, and Weatherup picks up to Norris. Norris finds Shimoda. Seeing this 2-3-2 zone from Titane. Very interesting. Can be called the wedge. But Toro's able to find some holes. Shaw flips it back to Norris. Norris around to Weatherup. Weatherup just unloads to Wood. And a great defensive play by LeBlanc on defense, kind of posting up and getting position on Wood. And Wood forced to go up early and then can't come down with the second effort. Lyonnais looking for a dump, finds Couillard. Couillard, quick give-go to Guibault. Lyonnais up the line. And her flick huck is low, zipping past the ears of Norris. A little bit higher, Danny, and I love that choice.
One thing that we have to say is that we're not allowed to have that many people on this sideline because we're here and we need to be able to kind of see. But if there was a loud sideline, I think that they would have known and would have been able to put up their hand to get a block on that. But again, not that many people over here to sideline.
Weatherup. Danny, I'm kind of thinking the adjustment I'd like to see in this 2-3-2 zone is overloading those two handler defenders a little bit. But, you know, Toro's doing a great job right now, just finding the kind of big gaps between those defenders. Weatherup brings that down under pressure. Bond. Hearing a boom, which I think is a melt to match defense from the Titane sideline. Weatherup. Finds Shaw. Titane now indeed in a person defense. And that pass just on the wrong side of Chichi Ohaka. That hawk aired out for
really
number 25, Gagliardi. Danny, you got your hands up. I think I'm just going to let you talk for a second.
I love the way that throw looked. That was so exciting. Because imagine it just gives a little bit more float, then that's potentially a layout score, and then your team's hyped up. I love it. It was nice and flat. Nice shot. I know it obviously didn't connect, but I still love it.
Keeleen setting up a mark on Norris. And Ohak is able to bring that in. Looking for options. Commits to a dump behind. Finds Norris. Norris has Shimoda. Patient. Been able to find those gaps before. Just playing possession O right now. I do wonder if they're feeling that sense of urgency as time ticks down here with a 6-point gap. That pass too high for Shimoda as it Airs out. Quia calls a timeout.
Again, if I to 10 and I'm up high this much and I want to save my legs, I would use all of my timeouts. I believe they haven't used any of their timeouts. I could be wrong, but I would use both of them because the game's cap is set to go off in 5 minutes. And so I would just stretch it out as long as possible, keep my players as rested as possible because looks like they're going to be moving on in this tournament.
Indeed, does look like they're going to be moving on. Speaking of that, our next game, I'll just get this out of the way during the timeout. Our next game, it looks like it's going to be between Ottawa's Ignite and BC's Nitro in our first streamed men's bracket play, open bracket play, I should say. And that will be starting right after this game in the 12:30 slot. And then after that, our women's game will be at 2:30, and that will be our last stream of the day. So following this, there will be 2 more showcase games, or I should say streamed games, both quarterfinals. And looks like Titane is just about set up here.
I want to take this time to do a shout out for I think Coach Gabrielle's mom, Sylvie. That was it. That was the only instruction. And I'm a person of the people, so I give them what they want.
All right, Wood will set up on Quia. You've got Leone left open for the around, which I don't know if that's by design or a mistake. Leone has been doing a lot of heavy lifting this game. Quickly moves the disc up towards the end zone. Still left open. And one of your more dangerous pivot handlers puts it out to LeBlanc, behind. But a big run through D by Shah. Norris. Finds Shah. She'll flip it to Shimoda. Shimoda finds Norris. Norris unloads to Wood. Wood, a big strike at this day. And goes up early over Leone. Knocking on the doorstep. Takes her time. Has weather up. Will flip it back to Woods. Woods busy in the end zone. Busy in the end zone today. Which brings our score to 10-5.
Now we're still seeing a lot of fight coming from this Toro squad right now. I love seeing these bombs coming up from Norris. You know, that's what she's looking for every time. And we see this on this Toro team. There's a couple people that I feel like their team knows that they're really wanting to send it. So as soon as like they catch it or say Bala catches it, you see the strikers running deep and pointing and shouting. They know that it's going to come up. They're excited to score. And I kind of want a little bit more of that on Traffic. So if you're on Traffic Ultimate and you're listening to this right now, if you see me at the disc, I want you to do the same thing, okay? Just go to the end zone. Let me rip some bombs. It makes me feel good about myself.
And because it's said on the stream, it's so official.
It's official.
Yeah, no one can take that back. Now Canada knows that's a plan.
Yeah, well, I also like to dump it. I'm very conservative. You're conservative too, aren't you?
Well, until I'm not.
That's
and then
true.
When I'm not, it's the right decision.
Always.
Yeah.
Always
yeah,
the right
again,
decision.
Saying it to Canada so you know it's right.
All right, we are closing in on the last minute. We're probably going to be hearing the horn in the next 20, 30 seconds here. And then the points will be, you're in theory supposed to play the next point, but they might not. We've seen some teams opt to not finish out points if there's a big gap.
Kenjan Dran. So I believe there was an offside, but since it went out of bounds ahead of the break, Titane will get to bring that to the middle. And it's Taze with the disc. Seeing this flat zone. Can we call it that? The flat poach, the
We
flat
call it
zone.
an arrowhead or a diamond.
Ooh, oh yeah, diamond. I like arrowhead. That arrowhead D by Toro generates a D. That is Menjivar getting involved, but a foul called.
This is one of those foul
By
calls that I
Sabna.
think that there's misunderstandings about, because I'm not so sure if players always know the difference between minor and non-minor contact in those types of Ds, like whether the person actually had position. And you are allowed to make contact with the player when you're on defense if you're both going for the disc and you're both already in that space, and there can be minor contact of the arms, and that isn't a foul. I'm not sure what happened here. Again, we had players kind of blocking our view.
Actually, my hot take is I thought Menjivar was there first. I thought that Sabna was running up to make that, to catch it, while Menjivar didn't see the disc right away. She was in position first, and as Sabna tried to run through to make that, Menjivar noticed and reached her arm out. But I do think Menjivar was there first.
I love it when we disagree.
Yeah. Never happens, though. So it is a turn.
Yeah.
Menjivar with the D. Bala puts it up immediately. Taze, though, read that with no issue.
So I'm right.
Yeah, sure. No, I said Menjivar got the D, and she did.
Oh, okay. I think we're saying the same thing then.
Oh, okay. See, we always agree.
Darn it.
Sabna. Around to Skovs. Skovs, huck fake sails me every time.
So you might have heard the horn. So in theory, after this point, there's supposed to be one more point played.
Skovs with a great read. The run-up jump to get some verticality. Tremblay. Skovs decide to play together for a little while. Invite Taze to the party. Taze goes around to Sabna. What a grab by Skovs. And her throw, that inside shoulder to Bird, results in a turnover. Bala with the disc, big hucker for Toro. And she's looking for a reset. Finds Betty, athletic play. Betty needs a minute to get up after this one. So
what a grab, though.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
So
sometimes you can have like shoulder injuries or wrist injuries when you kind of land like that. But I love the display of athleticism.
Some good spirit displayed here by Skovs, helping Betty up, and Betty went down. Now, Betty did call an injury by rule. You're supposed to take a sub.
The rule is if there is no contact, like if you have an injury because you got tangled up with another player, you don't have to sub off. But if you get injured on your own volition, your own accord, you have to sub off. I don't know if that's what's happening.
I didn't know that, and I'm really glad you're here to clarify for that for everybody.
I know some rules.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like a superstar will make a layout and then we'll call I'm like, no, you actually have to go off now.
That throw with some heat on it from Bala is just a little too high for any receiver. Tremblay showcasing her superior speed, finds Skovs. Skovs sees Brousseau, but Jamie Forbes in the area to break that up. Kendron flips that around to Betty, to Bala. Bala's huck, a little too shallow.
It's become a bit of a huck show right now.
Yeah, Taze, Sabna. She'll put that up to Brousseau. Brousseau sees the outside around and finds that completion to her receiver. We'll get you credit to that player when she turns around. 18, number 18. Matilda La Fosse with the goal, and that will end the game. Titane 11, Toro 5. And Danny, I think the story moving forward, as we were talking about, Titane's game to win.
Absolutely. I think that you could just see the normal game that Toro likes to play was being shut down quite a bit by the different poach looks that Titane was employing, and also just their sheer speed and athleticism. It's clear that these athletes from Quebec and from Montreal, from Titane here, have been working on their fundamentals. I was continually, you can't see me from the stream, but I was continually putting my hands up, being like, what a shot. So very, very impressed with all these athletes. I didn't know a lot of these players on Titane, and now I do. I'm a big fan.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll have another broadcast back with you at 12:30 for our first Open Division quarterfinal between Ottawa's Ignite and BC's Nitro. Make sure you come back soon, everybody. Bye-bye.